Hey there guys, it's Mopar. I'm going to be talking about the Monk today, and my preference is to always have a Monk with me. I suggest leveling him with any other character you're going to level. If you take a Squire and Apprentice as kind of your soloist, I would take a Monk with you just because his abilities really synergize really well with any of the other classes. So there's a reason he's probably the first or second most played class out there right now. So let's talk about his abilities a little bit. He's a hybrid hero with both melee and ranged attacks. His main attack is physical, his ranged is magic. He has 3 different abilities. He has his pole smash, which has a small AoE knocking mobs up in the air, which is pretty nice. He has his chi blast, which knocks enemies back, which is good for getting them like back into auras or away from walls and whatnot. Then he has his AoE that does a heal and it increases damage of the heroes. So I'll go show you those real quick on the Tavern Dummies. So as you can see, he's got his typical melee attacks. He attacks pretty quick, and he does, I think he does a pretty decent AoE, more so than the Squire as far as his physical attacks go. But I could be wrong. It's kind of hard to tell for sure with the way the targeting system is, if he's actually hitting the other mobs. I don't know, it's kind of deceiving, I guess. I know on DD1 you had, with the ninja outfit, you could actually do a lot of AoE damage around you with the staff. So, alright, so let's talk about his abilities. We got his pole smash, which is roughly about the size of the AoE as like the Earth Shatter Tower. And it's going to knock mobs in the air. It's good to use on like the pole throwers, orcs, the the dragons and whatnot. I don't think it works on the ogres. I really don't think it does. It does do damage, but I don't think it knocks them in the air. So then you got your chi blast. Shoots out damage in a straight line. Also has a pretty decent range, but it knocks mobs back, which is handy. And then you've got your AoE heal plus damage boost. So you're going to be doing a little bit more damage as well, which really won't come into effect if you're a tower-based character, but as a DPS character, it would be nice. But alright, let's talk about his different auras. First one he's got is his lightning aura. A lot like DD1, it's an AoE. It shocks things as they walk through it. So it is one of the most used defenses in the game right now. Monks are really popular. So it starts off, and it's this little globe up here. You've got like those little dragons on the side and everything, little base. And as you upgrade, the base gets bigger. And you also notice now, you've got a bigger dragon there. You can actually see it's more of a dragon. And we'll see how it goes. And also the size gets bigger. So now the base is even bigger. You've got some claws kind of sticking out of there. And now it's really badass dragon looking. He's got like a little goatee thing hanging down. Pretty badass, some big ears and everything. So that's the finished deal right there. And as you can see, it can get pretty big. Definitely wider than you need to for covering a full lane, but it is nice to have. I'm gonna sell that just because it makes noise. So, all right, the next one is the boost aura. Now it starts off a little bigger than the lightning aura. What this does is it boosts the damages of your defenses. So your lightning auras, your cannonball towers, any of that's within this radius is going to have like a 60. You're going to get anywhere from like 50 on up percent damage increase. So mine right now, I think when you're like level 5 or whatever, it might be only like 40, but it goes up pretty good. This particular one, I would suggest not upgrading. The percent you're going to only get for each upgrade is like 2 to 3% more damage, unless you really need the range to cover up more defenses. Then I'd upgrade it, but it's really not worth the mana. But as you can see, it starts off as just this little spear with a little ribbon, scarf on it. And then it goes to a little bit bigger guy here. Got like a snake dragon looking, little flag on there. And go up again. Now you've got a really kind of a dragon spear looking. You got a head, kind of a tail there. You got a big flag, and that's what it looks like when it's done. Now you can put a lot of defenses in here if you want to spend the mana. I have seen some builds where they'll put one like this and they'll pretty much surround an entire like crystal with defenses. If that's the case, then upgrading it would be nice for the range. But that's the only reason you would upgrade this tower. So it, yeah, pretty much just boosts the damage and reduces the damage taken as well, which is nice. So now you've got the Serenity aura. Now this one here, it's pretty much for DPS because it increases your or decreases the damage taken while you're in it, and it also heals you. So that's pretty neat. It's you know, like a healing aura from DD1, but you're also taking less damage. So, and it starts off as a little potted plant, little weak little tree with a little lantern on it. As it goes up, the tree gets bigger, the pot gets a little bit more ornate, and then it finishes. You know, you've got some more. You got some gems here on the pot. You know, pretty neat looking tree now. So it's definitely a neat looking icon for a tower. I really like it. So, and obviously the very last one doesn't change the looks, but you can get a pretty big area here. I'm hoping they're gonna add some modes, kind of like Monster Fest and whatnot, where you have to fight a whole bunch of mobs without towers. So that would definitely come in handy as far as that goes. Or just, you know, you have to fight in one area. So if you're not a DPS character, you're probably not going to use that tower too much. But then you've also got your anti-air tower. Now the Monk has the single best anti-air tower in the game. The downside is it only attacks air units. So that's something to keep in mind. Now they call this the Skyguard tower. It can fire multiple projectiles at different targets at the same time, but the downside is it's got a fairly small range, and when air units come in, they tend to come in groups of 3 to 5 on average. And as they're coming in like this, you might not get enough shots to kill them before they get to their objective. So that's why I tend to like to upgrade it and get the range out, at least 2 upgrades worth, so that it'll start attacking those wyverns earlier. So as it starts off, you've got kind of a dragon looking thing around each cannon. You know, just a basic base here. Then it gets a little bit more beefy. You definitely got more of a dragon look around the projectiles there. And as you go up, now it's definitely a dragon. It's badass. You got more green glowing stuff, glowing eyes. You got the dragon claw base. I mean, it's pretty badass, and they do really well against air. You just got to give them a little bit of range, so make sure you upgrade them. So that's about it as far as the towers and the abilities go. Let's talk about the different specs you can get for monks. And I'd say 90% of the monks out there have the same spec I do, and that's full lightning towers. The other ones, they've got 4 for like DPS, and then you've got 2 for towers. This one here is the lightning damage. It gives you a chance for it to do additional damage, so it just increases your overall DPS on your lightning auras, and that's pretty much what everyone specs into right now. But I'll talk about the other ones. This one here gives you a chance for your secondary attack to stun enemies for a second, so you can, you know, if you spam your secondary attack and play kind of like a huntress, you know, it can stun enemies, which is nice, but I don't play as DPS, so it's not a big deal for me. Dragon Stance, each primary attack increases the damage in the next range attack. Now they have both versions of this, and I think it's kind of a weird concept, but I guess if you're running around as DPS and you're doing both, that could be nice because it would increase the damage, but this is the opposite. Secondary increases primary, so I could see the use for it, but personally, I don't know. I'm not a DPS monk in this game, so I loved DPS monk in the first one, but can't really find a use for it right now. So, empowering calm, I guess. Okay, I got it bad. It's 3 offense, 3 towers, but this one is the heal and Serenity. The heal aura increases hero damage. So if you are playing as a or you've got a lot of DPS characters with you, I could see speccing into this and dropping one so it boosts their damage. But again, DPS characters really aren't needed as much. A typical character, as long as you're an active DPS, is going to be okay. You know, it's just, you know, protecting your towers and trying to do some damage. Most of the weapons are, you know, do enough damage. You don't have to necessarily spec into DPS, at least at the state of the game right now. So, and then you have this one that increases blockade health, but not many people late game use walls, so it does help a little bit at the beginning, but it's not much. I mean, if you were to take 20 points in here, it's not going to be that big of a boost. You're only getting 10% more health, so I really don't think it's worth it. That's why I dump everything in here, since it is the most used monk tower, and it's definitely probably one of the most used towers overall in the game right now. So that's pretty much the monk. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know if there's any other videos you'd like me to make.